Okay, so we are doing poetic devices or literary devices. Actually, all literary devices are not poetic devices, but all poetic devices are literary devices. What does it mean? That we have more in literary devices, but all the literary devices comprises of poetic devices. So the purpose of this poetic devices to be used in poems are that they are the essential tool that a poet uses to create rhythm or to intensify his mood, emotions, feeling, or sometimes to enhance the meaning of the poem. Okay. So just to add to the beauty, rhythm, meaning, emotions, feelings, mood, poetic devices are used, right? So we are going to do many of them, right? Let's start with simile. Simile, it is the comparison between two different things or persons by using like or as. Means when two things are compared, okay, two different things are compared by using like or as, we call it simile. For example, he lifted his head from his drinking as cattle do. Now, can anybody tell me the comparison here? What we are comparing in this line? Anybody can answer. Yeah, Tanesh, what is the comparison in this line?
Can you repeat again?
I said, in this sentence, he lifted his head from his drinking as cattle do. Are we comparing two things in this? Or two persons?
Yes, ma'am.
Or yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
yeah. Tell me.
Ma'am, the man himself and the cattle.
Yeah, he is compared to cattle and we are using as. So this shows that it's a simile, right? When comparison is made between two different things like he and cattle by using like or as, right? So it is called simile. And when comparison is made between two different things without using like or as, we call it metaphor. Okay, when we are not going to use like or as, but we are comparing two different things, we call it metaphor. Let me give you some examples. One more example, like he is or he fought like a lion in the battlefield. So now can you tell me the comparison? Two things are compared or two people or one man and a lion is compared? What
Ma'am, a lion and a man.
is compared in this? By and we are using here like. So which poetic device is it? Tell me, Rick. Which is the poetic device? When comparison is made between two different things using like or as, we call it
Simile.
simile. Another example, he is a lion of the battlefield. Now again, we are comparing he with the lion and we assume that he fought like a lion in the battlefield. Okay, so here comparison is made without using like or as, right? So it's a metaphor. So first one is an example of simile and second one is metaphor. Anybody has any difficulty in this, you can ask me. Otherwise, I'll move on. Yeah. So next poetic device is alliteration. Okay. When there is a repetition of consonant sound at the start of two or more consecutive words, we call it alliteration. I repeat, when there is a repetition of consonant sounds at the start of two or more words. If it is two, even then it is alliteration. For example, his horsemen hard behind us ride. So it is H, H, H is repeated here. So we call it alliteration. Okay. Can anybody tell me, is there an alliteration in second line? Should they our steps discover?
I'm sure then steps.
Very good. SS in shouldn't steps. Then who will cheer my bonny bride? Anybody?
Who, when, Bonnie and Bride.
Yeah. Who and will and again Bonnie and bride. So these are the examples of alliteration. I hope it is clear to everyone. Next one is personification. Personification means when we give human quality to an object or non-living thing, we call it personification. When we give human quality or human attributes to object or non-living thing, we call it personification. For example, death lays its icy hands. So nobody has seen death, right? And now the poet here is imagining his icy hands. So the poet is actually giving human quality to the death. Okay, death lays its icy hands. I am silver and exact. I have no preconception. Whatever I see, I swallow immediately. So can you tell me what is personified in this? I am silver and exact. Okay, now here, whose eye? Eye is a mirror. I have no preconceptions. Whatever I see, I swallow immediately. So now here, mirror is talking as if mirror is a human being. Okay. So when we give human quality to an object or non-living thing, when we imagine human quality, okay, we call it personification. Yeah, Anvi.
Roma, I was saying that in this, like when will be asked to underline the personification, then here it will be whatever I see, I swallow immediately.
It is here, a mirror is personified in this line. Whose eye here is a mirror, and mirror is saying all these things in the poem. Okay,
Okay, ma'am.
so you have to underline both the lines,
Okay, ma'am.
and you have to write that personification is used. Next one, anaphora. Okay, so anaphora is when we use any word, or you can say that one or more words at the start of two or more consecutive lines, we call it anaphora. Basically repetition. Okay, for example, if we see this example here, I tried to teach her, but she was a stupid creature, far too nervous, far too tense, far too prone to influence. So these are lines from a poem. Okay, and far too is repeated, that too at the start of these two lines, right? So it is called anaphora. So anaphora is the repeated use of word at the start of two or more consecutive lines, right? We call it anaphora. Now we did alliteration. Okay, similarly it is assonance. Repetition, alliteration is repetition of consonant sounds at the beginning of a word, and assonance is repetition of vowel sound within a sentence. Okay, within a sentence means it shouldn't be in the beginning of any word, right? All the worlds are stage and all the men and women merely players. They have their existence entrances. Okay, now you can see the sound men, women, merely, players, exist. As sound is there repeated in so many words, right? Sound of air. You know, English is a language of sounds and symbols. So it is not E, we'll pronounce it as A. Okay? Men, women, merely, players, exit, entrances. Next is enjambment. Next literary device is enjambment. When a sentence continues into two or more lines without any punctuation in a poem, okay, we call it enjambment. When a sentence continues in two or more lines in a poem without any punctuation, we call it enjambment. For example, you must have heard this poem about this poem, The Frog and the Nightingale. Once upon a time, a frog croaked away in a Bengal bog. Every night from dusk to dawn, he croaked on and on and on. Okay, so this is called, there is no punctuation, this is called enjambment. Though there are other literary devices, poetic devices in this, in these lines. Can you tell me any literary device croaked away in Bengal bog?
Ma'am, alliteration and alliteration.
Yeah, alliteration, Bengal bog. Okay, every night from dusk to dawn.
Ma'am, repetition or anaphora.
Yeah. Now, Saksham, can you tell me poetic device in the last line? He croaked on and on and on. Let me see whether you can recall it or not.
May I?
Yeah, very good.
Ma'am, repetition
Okay. You
or
can say that.
anaphora.
Yeah. There's one more poetic device. We call it poetic license. When a poet is given a privilege to make certain changes in order to make rhyming scheme in the poem. Okay, like see here, he croaked on and on and on. Just see here, dawn and on. But it is O and on and on and on. So this is called when a poet is given a privilege to make certain changes in the poem, we call it poetic license, right? So this is another, you can say, literary device, poetic license. I hope this much is clear to everyone. Next is hyperbole. Hyperbole means overcasting, or when we exaggerate something to put emphasis, to lay emphasis. We call it hyperbole. My name is Osmandius, King of Kings. Here they have used Osmandius, okay, and he himself is calling himself. He is calling himself as King of Kings. See, my name is Osmandius, King of Kings. So this is called hyperbole. When we are actually exaggerating something, okay, we call it hyperbole. Next is onomatopoeia. Okay, onomatopoeia is actually the sound words to create a dramatic effect in a poem. We call it onomatopoeia, right? Once upon a time, a frog croaked away in Bengal bog. So croaked is a sound. The tick tock of a clock, wall clock, was heard at night. So what is this tick tock, tick tock? These are sound words, and they are used to create a dramatic effect in a poem, right? So we call it onomatopoeia, right? Can you give me another word used for sound, if you remember any? I was sleeping and there was a thud sound outside in my street, you can say. So what is the third sound? Thud is giving a sound, so it is onomatopoeia. Right? I hope it is clear. sound words to create a dramatic effect in a poem, we call it onomatopoeia. Next
Okay, ma'am.
is, yeah, oxymoron. Oxymoron is when two contradictory words are used. Two opposite words, means opposite in meaning, are used together. When two words opposite in meaning, they are used together, we call it oxymoron. See, why then a brawling love, a loving hate? So see this loving hate and brawling love. So these are two contrasting words, love and hate. They are used together. Okay. And here the meaning of brawl is to fight, and love is to have affection for other person. Right? Oh, heavy lightness, serious vanity. So see here, heavy lightness. How can heavy can be compared to lightness? So, but when we use these two to give poetic effect, okay, we call it oxymoron. Two contradictory words used together to enhance the meaning in a poem is oxymoron. Now refrain. We have done repetition, we have done anaphora. Now it is refrain. When a verse or a line or a group of lines that are repeated at regular intervals in different stanzas, we call it refrain. When suppose one line is repeated in first paragraph in a poem, then again in second paragraph first line is same, then again third paragraph first line is same, we call it refrain. Okay, it's another kind of repetition only. For example, the duck and the kangaroo said the duck to the kangaroo. So this line is repeated several times in the poem. Said the duck to the kangaroo. When a line is repeated at regular intervals in a poem, we call it refrain. Okay. It is different from repetition because repetition is not done like this at regular intervals. It is done in a line, things are repeated in a line or in a paragraph, but this refrain is when a group of words or even a line repeated at regular intervals. In different stanzas, you have to remember that. So repetition is actually repeated use of word or of a line to lay emphasis. War is kind by Stephen Crane. Do not weep, right? Can you see this? War is kind. So this war is kind is repeated to contrast the horror of war, but it is not repeated throughout the poem. Okay, right? So when it is repeated in one stanza, we call it repetition. When two or more words are repeated in one or two or three lines consecutively, we call it anaphora. And when refrain is when a group of words or maybe a sentence is repeated in different stanzas in a poem, we call it anaphora. Clear difference between repetition, refrain, and anaphora. Now we have transferred epithet. You know, when an adjective is used in a line, okay, with a noun, but it is actually referring to another noun. Okay, we call it transferred epithet. When an adjective, we all know that adjective is used before a noun because it is used to describe noun or a pronoun. Okay, but here transferred epithet means it is not, this adjective is not with the noun followed by that adjective, but it is used for another noun used in the poem. Okay. For example, pursuing stick. Okay, here it is not the stick that pursues. Rather, pursuing stick here means that the person who is pursuing that stick. Right? That is transferred epithet. We all know that adjectives are describing words are called adjectives when they are not used for the noun which is following it, but for another noun we call it transferred epithet. Now, pun. What does it mean? In this figure of speech, one word has two different meanings. Okay, we call it pun. It's a literary device. The happiness of life depends on liver. Now, what is liver? Liver, there are two kinds of liver. One is in our stomach, okay, and another liver is one who lives life fully, is liver, right? So it is called pun. It's a literary device. Now, second example, you can see this terrorist lies in the jail. Now, one lies is to lay down, another lie is telling lies. Okay. Every word has two meanings. So it is called pun. When they are used for two meanings, we call it pun. Okay. Next is tautology. Now, tautology means when two words are used together, okay, having same meaning. Then you can ask me, ma'am, why we are using two words together if they have same meaning? This is called creative way of putting it. It is for rhetorical purpose. Okay. When we want to enhance what we want to say or to beautify our language, we can use that. The fairy went remote and far away. See his here, remote is far away only, and far away is far away. So when we use two words, two synonyms together, we call it creative way of writing. Can you see this example? With the seers and prophets, they followed him, right? So seers and prophets means they are used for those people who are prophets. There was the filth and the dirt. What is filth? It's the dirt, and dirt is filth, right? So tautology is, I hope, clear to everybody. Yes or no? Next
Ma'am,
is,
could you please explain it again?
yeah,
Ma'am, could you please explain the